Welcome to the Lifeproof Man, the podcast for men who want a health and fitness approach that fits their life and not the other way around. In this podcast, we will take an alternative view of health and fitness. We will step away from the toxic all or nothing fitness culture and help you to redefine what it means to live a healthy and enjoyable life whilst ditching the unrealistic expectations that are set by both society and social media. I'm your host, Tom Charles Smith, and in each episode we are going to explore how to create an enjoyable and sustainable lifestyle that makes weight loss the byproduct of living a healthy life instead of being the main focus. So if you're ready to take a health and fitness first approach that allows you to make consistent weight loss progress, consistent fitness progress, instead of always taking one step forward and two steps back, then you're in the right place. Let's get to it. Welcome to the latest episode of Lifeproof Man. This has been a very long overdue episode. I hope you're all doing very, very well. It's been probably about a month since the last episode. If you're watching on YouTube, as I am now uploading the podcasts to YouTube as well, or if you're watching the video on Spotify, as I believe I figured out how to upload the video to Spotify as well, you might be a little bit confused as to why there is a half-naked man on the screen there, but it's going to make sense in a second, so please do hold fire. For now, if you're wondering where I am, I'm sat in my car. It's about 7:30, 7 p.m. at night. Just a nice place to come and do this with no distractions and no other half either. And I also have a neighbour who sings, and quite often in the background you can hear her singing, which is very annoying. She's a terrible singer as well, so I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. I highly doubt she listens to this podcast. So it's Tuesday today. It's been a couple of days since our last men's monthly walk and talk, and it was a really, really good one actually. But Tuesday today, yesterday we launched the free 14-day reset program, which is designed for busy men to drop a few pounds. It's obviously only 2 weeks, so don't expect the absolute world in that time. But it's designed for busy men to try and drop a few pounds, to regain some energy and get a little bit more structure with their routines without it actually taking over your entire life or fitness having to become your entire personality, as it does for quite a lot of people. So if you're listening or watching this and you have any questions about that, about the 2-week program, then feel free to fire away. We begin on Monday. Today is the 30th of September. We begin Monday the 6th of October. And as I say, it's free, so there really is nothing to lose. If you're listening after the 6th of October, if it's only a couple of days after, get on board. If it's quite a few days after or a couple of weeks after or even longer, then keep your eyes peeled, as you never know, I might run them again. I haven't really decided just yet. On Sunday, it was my favourite walk. It was where it all began back in March. Kingley Vale. If you're local to the sort of Chichester or West Sussex area, you might know the Kingley Vale walk. Absolutely stunning. My favourite walk. We had a really, really good bunch. So a very big shout out to the guys that came along. And also one of the guys who got up really, really early to get the train down from, I think, Burgess Hill, as we met at 10 a.m. So we had to get up pretty early for a Sunday morning, get the train down as his car was in the garage. So yeah, really, really big. He comes to every single one as well. So a massive shout out to him. He obviously feels such a big impact from coming to the walks and having that community. And I think he called it brotherhood recently, which I like. Might sound a little bit corny to some people, but I like that. I like if someone feels they're a part of a brotherhood, then that is very, very powerful, I suppose. We had a few new faces. We had 3 new faces, I believe, maybe 4. And then we had some familiar faces as well. So a really nice mix. And I really do want to give that shout out to anyone that did come along that was new, because it's not an easy thing to do. And when that Sunday morning arrives and it's your day off, I suppose, it's really easy to start telling yourself stories. Perhaps you want more of a lion, and maybe you feel a little bit nervous, you feel a little bit anxious. No one wants to feel nervous or anxious or be outside of their comfort zone on a Sunday. You don't want to have to think about all the silly things you might say when you're meeting new people and all those stupid thoughts that really aren't true when they start to circulate around your head. You don't want to have to think about that on a Sunday. A Sunday is your day of rest, right? A Sunday is a day where it's for you. So a massive shout out to those that came along, and not just the guys that have come to previous ones, but the guys that came for the first time, but the guys that came to previous ones as well. And these walks, to be honest, I put them on for myself just as much as anyone else, because I need that community. I work in a desk-based role without seeing or speaking to that many people except through Zoom. So it's definitely something that I put on for myself just as much as anyone else. Anyway, so the reason why you're seeing a half-naked man on the screen right now, there is a reason behind it. This is the topic. I wanted to put a topic on today about realistic results. Now, most guys that I work with are really busy. They're often dads. They're often working desk-based or largely sedentary jobs. So for a man like that, for a man with those limiting factors, because let's be honest, a desk-based job, being a dad, being really busy, they are limiting factors. So for a man like that, what is realistic in terms of a result? And the answer is, and this is probably going to frustrate you, but the answer is it depends. Most guys like that or like this, the guys that I tend to work with, they don't really have goals of being the biggest, building loads of muscle, being the most shredded and jacked guy in the gym. And whilst it is achievable, their main goals, they want to feel better. They want to feel more confident. They want to feel more confident, not just in their clothes, but out their clothes as well. They want their partner to be attracted to them. They want to feel confident around the pool on holiday. They want to be able to move pain-free. They want more energy throughout the day, more consistent energy. They want to build some decent strength as well. And above all else, the most important thing to them is that they want to be there for as long as they possibly can for their family. And not just to live a long life, but to thrive in that life as well. And to thrive right up to the later years too. To not be a burden on anyone as they get older, to be independent. And that's my vision, my goal now. My goal 10 years ago, if you asked me, it would have been to be the most jacked, most shredded guy. And a little bit of the topic of today's podcast on steroids and things like that, it was something that I was considering, because when you decide that your goal is to build muscle and you want to be the biggest guy you can possibly be, I would say I hit my potential, my natural potential, my natural ceiling at about 23 years old. I started lifting weights 16, 17. Within 6 years, I probably had put on as much muscle as I could ever put on naturally, to the point where most people, or a lot of people, were accusing me of steroids, but hand to God, I've never touched steroids, and never will either. And it was something that I really considered. So yeah, it's a topic that we're going to cover today. What can you realistically, and it's a really interesting topic as well, what can you realistically expect to achieve as a natural lifter with those limiting factors, as a lot of guys that I work with are busy dads? But going back to what I was saying just a second ago about my goal now. So 10 years ago, it would have been to be the biggest, most shredded, most jacked guy. And I did achieve that, to be honest. For a natural lifter, I probably was one of the biggest, most shredded guys out there at one point. But now that just becomes such an unfulfilling goal to have, because I couldn't get any bigger. I reached my natural potential. So my only option at that point was to jump on steroids. So yeah. My goal now, and I've said this a number of times, is to be that 80-year-old guy in the gym who's still squatting to depth, who is still bench pressing his body weight, who is still moving pain-free. And everyone in the gym knows him as this guy that's been in the gym for decades and is the old head who has just looked after his body, because that is more than possible. And without doing that, without looking after your body, you will not be able to walk. You'll be very unlikely to be able to walk unaided when you reach the ages of sort of 80 or 90, because sarcopenia is the natural wastage of muscle as you begin to age. After the age of about 30, for every decade that passes, you lose about 8% of muscle mass, give or take, and it's going to differ from person to person, but you lose about 8% of muscle mass for every decade that passes. So if you're not doing anything to look after the muscle, then you're going to be losing it. And by the time you get to 80 and 90, that's why most people go into assisted living, because they can't actually get up and down off of the toilet without someone helping them. So going back to the topic of what's a realistic goal for men who have these restrictions in life, who are busy dads, who sit down most of the day potentially, who are incredibly time poor because of all the different things they've got going on. What is realistic? And as I mentioned, the answer is, quite frustratingly, it depends. Now, the reason why this guy's up here, I'm going to actually get to the actual topic here. The reason why this guy's up here, half naked on the screen, is because I keep seeing these videos crop up. They're a bit of a trend at the moment. You might have seen them, you might not have done on social media, but it's a trend of what does 10 years, 11 years, however many years of consistent training actually look like for a natural lifter. And these guys in these videos here are like, they take it seriously. They're not just dabbling here and there. This is something where it's a non-negotiable. They're getting in there 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week and making it a big part of their life. Not necessarily making it the same part of their life as lifting is for me. If you see me on social media, you think, okay, he's pretty into that, because it's something that I've always done. Not necessarily my entire personality trait, as a lot of guys tend to make it, but it's a big part of my life, and you know that it is a part of my life. So That's if you're watching or if you're listening on the podcast, you might want to watch this on YouTube because it might not make a great deal of sense. Or if it's on Spotify, I'm hoping that I've got the video sorted so you can see this as well, because I want you to watch this as these are the trends that are coming up. So I'm going to play a few of these. You won't see this, but I've got to move this bar out of the way.
A lot of you aren't very impressed with what I look like after 11 years of training in the gym. So let's improve this in just 10 minutes, shall we? Just need to adjust the lighting a little bit, get a bit of a pump on, and finally flex so hard I nearly shit myself.
So I'm going to unpause that again in a second. And if you're wondering why I'm looking up here, by the way, that's just where I've got my iPad up there, and that's where I'm showing. That's where I can actually see that video. It's up there. So I'm going to unpause that again in a second, but I absolutely love this trend of showing what is actually realistic, because those guys, let's be honest, I think they look incredible. I think they look really good. They could obviously be a bit leaner if they wanted to be shredded, and being leaner or being more shredded tends to then make you look bigger because there's less fat compared to the muscle. So the muscle in comparison looks bigger. But for every video, this is why it's become a bit of a trend on social media, because it's become a bit of a conflicting topic. There's one side who are debating a different side. So it tends to be the guys that are natural debating the guys that are on steroids or enhanced, and saying that those that choose to stay natural are choosing mediocrity, which I absolutely hate that narrative. But anyway, for every video of a guy like these guys in the video showing what it is like to be natural and what you can expect from 10 years of natural training, there's always some sort of keyboard warrior in the comments who probably lives in their mum's box room claiming that the guys in the video have wasted the 10 years that they've put into training and that their 8-year-old little sister has more muscle mass than them. But every single one of those jealous jebens seem to forget one very crucial part of the equation. And that is this, that not everybody goes to the gym to be a bodybuilder. In fact, I would say most people don't. Most people go to the gym for other reasons than to be a bodybuilder. But having said that, as I mentioned, I think these guys in the video look exceptional, and you can tell, and someone like myself who has a very trained and keen eye on this, I can tell that they have taken it very seriously over a number of years. And it's just the case that the internet and social media has massively warped the expectations of what people actually think is possible and what they think is average, when really it's elite, just like these guys. At least if you're natural, which I really believe that these guys are. If you're natural, that is elite. They might not look as incredible as you might see on your explore page on Instagram because they're not as lean as they can possibly be. I think the second guy even said that he was off season, which meant he was, like, I suppose, bulking. He would probably had 20-30 pounds of body fat that he might not have if he was competing. But it's just that the internet and social media, they see these steroid physiques, and that looks like it's the average. That looks like it's the normal, when it's not. 30 years ago, these guys that I just showed you in the video would have been the absolute elite. So it's just a shame that it is going this way. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what 14 years now for me of consistent training looks like, with no steroids. As I mentioned, hand to God, no steroids, no shortcuts. Of course, the first 5-6 years of my lifting career, so to speak, the main goal of mine was to build muscle. But the next sort of 10, I suppose, 8 years, I guess it would be, has been based around just general health and general fitness and wanting to be strong and feel good. So let me, firstly, before I share my one, let me just clip this on, because this is one of the jebens that I'm talking about, not necessarily saying this guy's a keyboard warrior, but he's a part of the problem. So the first guy here, he was sharing his physique, and actually this is a follow-up video because he previously shared this, where a lot of people said that he was looking really shit, essentially, for the fact that he was training 11 years. He never actually said, though, what his goal was. His goal, by the sounds of things, was just general health and general fitness. So the fact that a load of people came up to him and said, or commented on his video saying that he looked shit, is really short-sighted and a bit ignorant, because he never actually said that he was a bodybuilder. And I think he looks really good, personally. So he shared his 11-year journey. A load of people said he didn't look great, so he followed it up with this. And then you got this reaction video I'll let you watch it.
That's 10 minutes, shall we? Just need to adjust the lighting a little bit, get a bit of
So here he actually shows how easy it is to change his physique. So you saw what he looked like a second ago. Now he's going to obviously change the lighting, get a bit of pump on, and in his words, flex so hard that he nearly shits himself.
Pump on. And finally, flex so hard I nearly shit myself.
And this is the guy that's reacted to his video. So this guy, he is saying here that kids are looking at us to see whether it's actually worth staying natural. So he's claiming that the first guy is making it more appealing for younger guys to jump on steroids because they don't want to look like that. Now, this guy, he might be natural. He would be one of the absolute freaks, genetic freaks, if he wasn't on steroids. But he's not exactly making it. He's a part of the problem in my eyes. He's shitting on someone else because they're not as big as he is, or they're not training like that. But actually, he's completely full of shit, because he says here, how will anyone know I lift without lighting and a pump? And then the first thing he shows is a fucking perfect lighting with down lighting from the sun, and probably with a pump on as well, especially when you compare what he looks like with an actual pump on. So anyway, let's share my journey. Let's share my 14 years. It's after this. So this is me feeling a little bit vulnerable showing you this, because it's not long after coming back from Barcelona when I recorded this. I'm at probably one of the heaviest that I've been for a while. This is where I tend to sit most of the year, to be honest with you, around about 91 kilos ish, something like that. When I go away on holiday, I might be about, in terms, I tend to work in pounds, this is about 200 pounds, 202 pounds. When I go away on holiday, I might be 195, something like that. So it's only a few pounds up. This is where I tend to sit most of the year round. Now I look at that, and I would probably look at that personally and think pretty average physique, but that's just my own, I suppose, a bit of body dysmorphia creeping in, seeing myself every day. And this is the reality, to be honest with you. 14 years of training, unless I want to be super, super dialed in, cut out all the things that I enjoy on the weekend, like having a beer and having a burger, or ordering a pizza on a Friday night with Abby, which we probably do every single week, then I'm going to look like this. Because my goals, my priorities aren't to be super lean, they're to be healthy. This is a healthy body. This is what a healthy body looks like, and people might not like it, like the previous guy that I was just showing you here, because he wants to be big and shredded and jacked, and that's what he cares about. But I grew up and I realized that I don't need to be the biggest, fucking leanest guy, most shredded guy to feel worthy. That was all I was doing it for. I was doing it for other people's validation. When you can know that you're validated from your own sense of self-worth, and you don't need someone else, then you can relax a little bit and you can let your body look like what it does for me. I'm strong. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I'm fitter than I've ever been. I think the last time I was this fit was probably when I was 17 playing football, and I weighed about 30 kilos less than I do now. And I don't play football now, and I'd love to play football again, but my ankle's not in the state for it. But anyway, I wanted to sort of explain on today's episode, and I know I'm in the middle of doing it, but I wanted to explain why comparing yourself to the physiques that you see online, like the last guy that I just showed you, is probably the fastest way that you can possibly kill your motivation. Because this is me. If we flick it on, this is me on the left. At, I think it was about 195 pounds. About, yeah. So this was unflexed, obviously untanned. This was my start picture. Probably a little bit lighter. This is probably where the weight now that I go away on holiday, like 195 pounds. I'm currently sat at about 202, so about 7 pounds above this. And then on the right, this is me literally about 6 months later. And look at the difference. I mean, this is why I was getting steroid accusations, is because on the right, this isn't steroids, it's not magic training programs, it's just this, that I've got less body fat. I've got a pump. I've got a big pump. So I remember training to the point where I was feeling like I was going to pass out, because that's what the photographer wanted. And if you don't know what a pump is when you're lifting weights and the blood rushes to the muscle and it really does pump up, and it can make you look a lot bigger. And I mean a lot bigger, especially if you've already got a decent amount of muscle mass. And obviously, as I just mentioned, I had a professional photographer who knew how to make me look my best with the right lighting. I imagine it's slightly edited as well. And I've gone from like about 195 pounds here to about 175. So I've lost about 20 pounds here. I don't think I would have gained any muscle. I would have, if anything, probably lost muscle. I know it's really hard to tell and really hard to believe that, but in a consistent calorie deficit without the use of steroids, I probably would have lost muscle. And it's more so that I've just revealed the muscle underneath, and then in comparison, if you remove like the outer layer of something, the inner bit is going to look bigger in comparison. I hope that makes sense. I'm not really sure I'm explaining that very well. But you might look at that 5 second clip of me where I'm sort of turning around, the present day me that I took a few days ago, and you might assume or think that I've lost all my muscle, or that I must have been on steroids in this picture here, both of which aren't true. I still, as I mentioned just a second ago, I still lift just as hard. I train now to be strong. I'm stronger now than I was in either of these pictures here, considerably stronger. And that's just what I look like. That's just what I look like now as a natural lifter that actually wants to maintain balance in his life and wants to be able to enjoy a couple of beers at the weekend. Not to go crazy. Sometimes I do. My birthday's coming up and I probably will. But when I've stripped away all of the body fat, and I've got a tan on, and I've got a pump on, and I've used a professional photographer who then probably airbrushes it a little bit. When I'm in this Photoshop in condition, it looks really impressive, and I could probably get into that again. That is probably what is sitting underneath. That is probably what is sitting underneath this right now. It's probably there. If you look at the size, I don't think I've changed much. But I just can't be fucked with that. I can't be asked with it. It's not my goal right now. I'm not really caring about it. It's not particularly healthy either for me. It doesn't fit with my life. I would have to dedicate absolutely everything to being a boring cunt. And I would have to be constantly hungry. Believe it or not, here I might look big, strong and scary. I was constantly hungry. So hungry, so food focused. The second that I got out of that photo shoot, I binge ate, and I planned to binge eat, and I put like the whole weight, if and then more, back on again within a month or two. So yeah, what matters to me is to be healthy, to be strong, to enjoy life, to be full of energy, to be able to focus my passion, focus my energy and bandwidth towards my passion, which is my business, and living an enjoyable life and being present with my friends and family. It's not to be looking like this. It is, unfortunately, and I don't say unfortunately, that's probably the wrong thing to say. It is this. This is me. This is reality. This is my winter body. This is probably now my summer body here. And this would be my photo shoot body, which probably isn't going to happen again for a very long time, if ever. So the truth is, most of the physiques that you're going to see online on your Explore page that you're potentially comparing yourself to are, one, people who don't actually look like that outside of this condition here, the perfect lighting, the pump, the posing, or they're using steroids. So I fell into the first camp. I was the person that was using perfect lighting, a huge pump, poses, professional photography, a tan. I had a spray tan on here. And then I would actually cause part of the problem. This is going back nearly 10 years ago now, where I wasn't in this shape anymore. I'd put a load of weight on. I was back to this kind of condition, if not worse, because I was actually 220 pounds at one point in between these kind of photo shoots and things and competitions. And I'm only sort of 203 right now. So I was about a good stone, more than a stone heavier. But then I was still posting throwbacks of me here, making it worse, making people think that it was realistic. Not necessarily claiming that I looked like that, but it was then making people think that potentially I still look like that. And that's the way, the physique that I maintain all year round. And I really hate to know that maybe 10 years ago, I maybe contributed to someone feeling like they would need to jump on steroids, because I had people coming up to me on nights out in my local Chichester. If you're from Chichester, you know, it's quite small town mentality, coming up to me and sort of asking straight up, oh, what cycle did you use? You look great. And I was like, I didn't use steroids. And they were like, no, then you wouldn't believe it. I had someone stop me on a run before. I had someone stop me while I was running, like grabbed my arm. I took my headphones out and goes, mate, you look great, but just be honest with me here. What steroids you on? And I was like, I'm not on steroids. And as a young person as well, as a young man, this really used to piss me off when people did it. And then you end up just looking guilty, don't you, if you're denying things. But I never did. Hand to God, never did. But anyway, in the UK, it's estimated that between 30 and 50% of all male gym goers are using steroids. 30 to 50%. So just look around the gym at the if you're listening to this in the gym, look around the gym and think of 3 to 5 out of every 10 guys that are in there, or 30 to 40, 50% of the gym. you might compare yourself to these guys who are on steroids. Almost like potentially half of the guys in the gym on steroids. It's crazy. So when you walk into the gym and see that guy with shoulders like boulders, or you click onto an influencer's profile and see shredded abs year round, you've got to realize that you're comparing yourself to someone that potentially either doesn't look like that because they just did a photo shoot like this and are reposting all the pictures, or you're comparing yourself to something that isn't actually achievable naturally, and it's just a game you can't win. And finally, you might be comparing yourself to someone who is dedicating their entire life to it. If they're a boring cunt, all they care about is the gym. It's their entire personality. When maybe you're a busy guy, like you are sat at a desk most of the day when they're not. You might have kids when they don't. You've got all these other limiting factors that they don't have. And this is where so many guys get stuck. They go to the gym, they see these physiques, they scroll through Instagram, and suddenly they feel like failures because they don't look the same. But the truth is, those guys have different lives, different priorities, and in many cases, a completely different rule book to you. So if you're a busy dad with a full-time job, a family, you've got real responsibilities, why would you compare yourself to someone whose entire life revolves around training, revolves around eating, revolves around preparing food, revolves around making sure that they get their perfect 8 hours of like circadian rhythm, REM sleep, and enhancing their body with steroids and all this kind of stuff? It's not the same. It's not even close. It's a different fucking ballpark to these guys. So here's the takeaway. Run your own race. Focus on building a body that makes you feel good, that gives you energy, that fits into the life that you actually live, and allows you to show up as the best man, the best partner, the best dad, the best friend that you can be. That's exactly my philosophy. That's how I coach. It's not about getting you shredded for a 3-week photo shoot, or shredded for 3 weeks after a photo shoot, because it won't last long. It's not about chasing this physique. It could be a part of a goal. It could be a step along the way towards your overall vision. It could be a rung on the ladder to get that like photo shoot. I've got these pictures for the rest of my life now, and I'm going to show these to my grandkids one day. Look like your granddad looked like one day without steroids as well. It's not about that. It might be a part of the process, but it's about building something that's sustainable, something that lasts, and something that you can then feel confident when you're on holiday, or you have energy for your kids and you're there for them as long as you possibly can be. You're not this all or nothing person. You're this consistent person, a constant, not someone that's like I can't think of the right word, oscillating between one extreme or the other, and you're not constant in someone's life. You're not a reliable, consistent person. It's about building something bigger than that. So the next time you scroll past that kind of perfect body on your explore page, or you feel intimidated by that meathead in the gym, remember that it's probably not real, and it's certainly not the path that you should be comparing yourself to. So run your own race. And if you found this video useful, please do subscribe to the podcast, hit like. If you're watching this on YouTube, look, this is brand new to me. I'm sure it's going to be shit at first. I'm sure I'm going to be a bit of a ramble and a bit of a rant at first. But stick with me, because they are going to get better. And it's raw as well. You always will see the real me here. I live my life by my morals and my values, and you're always going to get this real version of me. And a final plug for the completely free 2-week, no catch whatsoever reset program. If you are interested, if you're listening to this in time, drop me a message on Instagram at Tom_Charles_Smith, or send me an email on tom@tcs-fitness.com, or drop a comment on YouTube if you're watching it here. You find me somewhere, and you can find the details. The link to sign up is actually in my bio on Instagram, or you can just drop me a message and get involved. I'd absolutely love to have you on board. There's absolutely no catch. I'm not going to try and hard sell you into something afterwards. I just want to work with as many guys as possible and help them to improve their lives. So thank you so much for listening. If you made it all the way to here, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, drop me a comment. Let me know that you actually did listen to the end. I appreciate you more than you know, and enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, day, evening, week, whenever you're listening to this, and I'll see you on the next one.